At this point, I'm sure a few of you have already assumed that the Mazah region is said and done. I've finished the Pokédex, the game is out and completed, and there's nothing more I can add. Well, I'm here to tell you that none of those statements are true. Yes, one day my work on the Mazah region will come to an end. Not today, though. Not today. We're back, everyone. Welcome to Subjectively. My name is Jack, and this video will take us back to the Mazah region for the first time in quite a few months. Now, it's true, the Mazah region Pokédex is almost completely wrapped up at this point. Yes, I have the urge to go back and redesign a few of my older Pokemon from the very beginning of this now nearly 3-year-old project, but I'm resisting those urges. Mostly, I do so for the sake of our devoted fan game project devs who have been working tirelessly on the Mazah region game. I just played the first demo of the game on stream recently, and it's phenomenal so far. The team working on this game is comprised of some of the most talented artists, programmers, and writers that I have ever met. And though I'm sure they could handle it, I don't want to give them any more work by making changes to official Pokemon designs that would then force them to alter other aspects of the game that are already in place. I'll use this moment to give another big thank you to all of them, and a big thank you to our Patreon supporters. These guys, like our dev team, are subjectively super fans. They remind us every day just how big of an impact we have on our community, and it's literally an honor to have you guys support us financially in this way. So, if you feel like joining this group of devoted supporters, consider becoming a Patreon member. We have awesome reward tiers each month, including custom prints and even character design lessons. But no, despite the fact that the fan game is well underway and the Pokédex is nearly complete, I'm not done with the Mazah region. Not by a long shot. There are a few more Pokemon I've been wanting to add to the dex, a few weird ones that will probably take some explaining. A lot of the Pokemon I've made for the Mazah region thus far are very well thought out concepts with strong visual execution. I'm proud of them, and I like what I've made. But I had an urge, a desire to get a little silly with it. Today, we're going to be adding 3 all-new Pokemon to the Mazah dex, and I guarantee you that none of you saw these guys coming. You might have guessed some, maybe 2 of them, but no one could be prepared for the big 3 that I'm about to share with you all. Like I said though, it's going to take some explaining. First of all, allow me to introduce to you a friend and a colleague of mine. His name is Jeremy.
Pokemon!
I believe some of you have already met. Jeremy filled in for me last year on April Fool's Day, creating a brand new legendary for the Mazah region. Now, the concept behind this Pokemon was pretty damn solid. Drag Taco, the Dragon Taco Pokemon. Jeremy really knows how to get the crowd what they want. I can't tell you how many fans have asked me to make a Taco Pokemon for the Mazah region, and everybody wants more Dragon types, right? But, and nothing against Jeremy here, I found that his particular drawing style didn't quite match up with the rest of the artwork I had done for the Mazah region so far. And this could be due in part to his illiteracy, but the stat sheet that he made for Drag Taco was a little hard to read. So, with his permission, of course, I decided to take a crack at the design and re-render it in my own style. That's okay with you, right, Jeremy?
Oh yeah!
Here's the thing about Drag Taco. I didn't put any thought into its design, like, whatsoever. I think that's apparent. I literally drew it in one pass in Microsoft Paint. Taking this and turning it into something that could maybe pass as something resembling a real Pokemon was going to be tough. But as I've done in the past, I decided to embrace this freewheeling, careless approach to character design. It doesn't work all the time, but sometimes an impulsive creation like Drag Taco has some really cool ideas hidden underneath a deceptively simple early sketch. This is why rough sketches and thumbnails are always important in character design. You never know what good ideas are hiding in your head, and the only way to find out is by putting them down on paper. This might be a good time to talk about another important thing to keep in mind when you're designing a character. Intent. What are you trying to say with your character? What role does it play? In this case, Drag Taco is the extension of an inside joke between me and my community. So, does it have to look dangerous, powerful, or anything like other existing legendary Pokemon? No, not really. My goal when making this finished version of Drag Taco was to add a little drop of humor to the Mazah region as a tribute to all of my devoted fans. In fact, I wanted this Pokemon to look silly. I was channeling the kinds of designs that I made back when I was a kid, when I took designing Fakemon a little too seriously. Sometimes strong artwork can come from a self-aware perspective on your subject matter, poking fun at the genre and even at yourself a little bit. I can't say that if I had zero context for Drag Taco that I would find it to be a strong design, but for everyone in the know, there's value in how goofy and nonsensical this Fakemon looks. Drag Taco, the Dragon Taco Pokemon. Believed by many to be nothing more than a story told amongst the children of the Mazah region, Drag Taco has never been caught or documented by anyone. The story goes that Drag Taco was thought up of by a young boy who wished very hard every night until one day the Pokemon became real. This, of course, is nonsense. Surely the Pokemon is only as real as any child believes it to be, and couldn't possibly exist. What other Jokemon can we make for the Mazah region? What other designs could we conceive that are stupid on the outside but spark joy in ways that we could have never anticipated? Claire helped me answer this question. She was admiring her Ditto as Raichu plushie, 5.5 inches, one day when she turned to me and said, "What if there was a Ditto that, when it transformed into another Pokemon, had an evil eyebrow?" Mazian Ditto. Probably the last regional variant anyone would have ever expected me to add to this Fakemon region. What does a mischievous variant of Ditto have to do with the Mazah region? Anything relevant to the real-world inspiration of Central and South America? Not really. Does it reference the theme of the games, modernity and tradition? No. Mazian Ditto is literally just a funny idea that Claire thought up of, and I agreed would be great to add to the Pokédex, even if it does just seem like a meme. It's easy to forget a lot of the core principles of character design when you're creating a character that's as simple as, say, an evil variant of Ditto. But even when your character is just a blob with eyes, remember to keep things like shape language, characterization, and thoughtful color usage in mind. If we're assuming that Cantonian Ditto is benign, if not a little mischievous, Mazian Ditto is straight up evil. The simplest way to convey that? A spiky silhouette as opposed to a rounded and soft one. I made the edges of this character pointed and sharp, but still made sure to retain some round edges to imply the gooey consistency of the Pokemon's body. Of course, the most essential part of Mazian Ditto's personality was its angry eyebrow, accompanied by its goofy-ass grin. Now, as far as the role it plays in the game's balancing goes, I might just leave that up to the devs if they want to include this Ditto or not. My idea was that it had the same ability as Ditto, Imposter, that allows it to transform into the first Pokemon it battles. But unlike Imposter, Mazian Ditto's ability also shuffles the stat value of the Pokemon it transforms into, and assigns it a random ability. It might be broken, it might be too hard to code, or it might just be too stupid to even bother adding. I'll let the team decide, but you guys can leave your feedback down in the comments. Ditto, Mazian form, the evil goo Pokemon. This incredibly rare Pokemon has only ever been encountered a handful of times. Very little documented research has ever been gathered, though what little information is known seems to imply that this variation of Ditto is a crude replication of the Pokemon made by humans. Whether on purpose or accidentally, the creators of Mazian Ditto corrupted its ability to disguise itself as other Pokemon, and the mimics are clearly distinguishable by their altered abilities. Before we look at this last Jokemon, I have to introduce you all to a member of the Subjectively team who doesn't usually get a lot of screen time. This is Panko, our dog. If you watch my streams, you might have seen Panko live on camera once or twice before. She's an incredibly sweet girl who only stinks a little bit. Okay, no, she stinks a lot, but we can't give her a bath right now because she just had surgery and her wound hasn't finished healing yet. Anyway, Panko brings a lot of joy to our life, and to the lives of everyone else she meets. She's goofy, emotionally manipulative, but overall the most friendly and extroverted individual I know, and I'm including humans. She loves other dogs, she loves cats too, but she's never met a cat who hasn't smacked her on the nose yet. She's even tried making friends with a dead squirrel, but I didn't let that relationship go too far. She's the best dog I've ever owned, and I'd be remiss if I didn't pay some tribute to her in the form of a Fakemon design. Turning your dog into a Pokemon is a lot more difficult than you may think. It's kind of like doing a portrait of your best friend. You want to capture all the things you love about them and your relationship, but you don't want to do anything that might portray them in a bad light. Of course, I wasn't worried that Panko would disapprove of this design, but I also knew that tens of thousands of strangers would see it, and I wanted them to be able to appreciate my doggy in the same way I do, or at least a small fragment of the way I do. The key to making a convincing Fakemon is to incorporate several concepts into one cohesive design. A lot of the time this means a primary concept, usually something from the real world like an animal or an inanimate object, a secondary concept, an elemental component or reflection of the Pokemon's typing, and a tertiary concept. This could be a personality trait, an integration of something mythical or legendary, or even something more abstract. Obviously, my primary concept was to turn my dog into a mythical Pokemon, but how could I create a convincing design that didn't just look like a Scooby-Doo OC? One of the first things I did was put together a little mood board for this design. Mood boards are a great way to compile references all in one place. They allow your mind to process all of your inspirations all at once, while giving you plenty of images to inspire you. Next, I needed a secondary concept, something elemental to sell the typing of this Pokemon. Fairy and Flying were the types that made the most sense to me. Fairy to reflect her extroverted and loving nature, and Flying to represent her boundless energy and speed. I also realized that I needed to sacrifice some of her real-life anatomy if I wanted to make this feel more like a real Pokemon. The more I made it look like Panko, the more it just felt like a cartoon dog, and the less it felt like a Pokemon. I diminished some of the proportions, but played up some of her other physical traits. Almost every existing dog Pokemon has very long, matted fur that lends itself to spiky shapes in the Pokemon's silhouette. Panko has very short fur, so I needed something else to help me create interesting shapes. I decided to use her many wrinkles and neck folds to create a more fantastical silhouette, and the way the folds of her skin bunched around her collar helped me fold in another idea that Claire had in some of her sketches. To further incorporate her fairy typing, we thought it would be cute if this Pokemon had a ring of sprites that emanated from her collar and orbited her big head. Each sprite was a manifestation of a friend that she had made throughout her life, and each new sprite she added gave her more strength. It was a cute way to turn this design from a cartoon dog into something more resembling an actual Pokemon. Of course, the whole thing is still pretty silly, but that's exactly what I wanted. A fitting depiction matching the personality and magic of our doggy. Boinkleby, the pig-wolf Pokemon. It is said in the Mazah region that to be visited by the mythical Boinkleby is to be blessed by the heavens themselves. This one-of-a-kind Pokemon drifts across the Mazah region, making friends and lifting spirits everywhere it goes. For every friend it makes, a new sprite is added to its magical collar, and each new sprite makes it more powerful. Though it is quick to bond with any human or Pokemon it meets, it will always return to its original trainers eventually. These most recent Mazah Pokemon are goofier than the rest of the decks, but the next set of Pokemon I'm adding will be a dramatic shift in tone. I have a fun idea to introduce an entirely new kind of Pokemon into the Mazah region, a new concept that will tie the Mazah region into the next big project that I intend to start on this channel. These final additions to the Mazah region will be revealed within the coming months, but I want to take my time with them. For now, this video has come to its end. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.